Imagine this. Two people face the same problem. One gets angry, blames others, and gives up. The other stays calm, thinks, and takes action. After some time, their lives look completely different. What made the difference? It wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It was one simple thing: how they chose to respond. Let's take a small story. John works at a small office. One day, his boss criticizes his work in front of everyone. John feels embarrassed and angry. He goes home upset, complains to his friends, and stops putting effort into his work. He thinks, "My boss is unfair. Nothing will change." Days pass, and the situation gets worse. Now imagine Sarah in the same situation. Her boss also criticizes her work. She feels bad too. But instead of reacting instantly, she pauses. She asks herself, "Is there something I can improve?" She goes home, reviews her work, and tries to do better the next day. Slowly, her boss starts noticing her effort. Same situation, different results. Why? This is exactly what the first habit from the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about. The habit is called Be Proactive. Now, what does proactive really mean? In very simple words, being proactive means taking responsibility for your own actions and reactions. It means you don't let situations control you. Instead, you control how you respond to situations. Most people live in a reactive way. That means they react based on what happens around them. If something good happens, they feel happy. If something bad happens, they feel angry or sad. Their mood and actions depend on outside events. But proactive people are different. They understand something very important. They know that between what happens and how they respond, there's a small space. In that space, they have a choice. They can choose how to react. This idea may sound simple, but it is very powerful. Think about it. If someone says something rude to you, you have 2 choices. You can react immediately and say something rude back, or you can pause, think, and respond calmly. The situation is the same, but your response changes everything. This habit teaches that you are responsible for your life. Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends, not the situation. You. Let's break this down into simple ideas. First, understand that you always have a choice. Many people say things like, "I had no choice," or "He made me angry." But in reality, no one can make you feel or act in a certain way. They can influence you, but the final decision is always yours. For example, Mike is stuck in traffic every day. He gets angry, honks, and feels stressed. His whole mood gets ruined. Now, the traffic is not in his control, but his reaction is. Another person in the same traffic might listen to music or think about their day calmly. Same situation, different response. So the first lesson is simple. You cannot control everything that happens, but you can control how you react. Second, focus on what you can control. In life, there are many things we cannot control. Weather, other people's behavior, unexpected problems. But there are also things we can control. Our thoughts, our actions, our effort. Reactive people spend most of their time worrying about things they cannot control. They complain, blame, and feel stuck. Proactive people do the opposite. They focus only on what they can do. Let's take Emma as an example. She fails an exam. A reactive response would be, "The exam was unfair. The teacher is bad. I am unlucky." A proactive response would be, "What can I do now? Can I study differently? Can I ask for help?" The difference is clear. One person stays stuck in blame. The other moves forward. This doesn't mean ignoring problems. It means dealing with them in a smart way. Third, use your pause power. This is one of the most important ideas. When something happens, don't react instantly. Give yourself a small pause. This pause is like a gap between the event and your reaction. In that gap, you can think. You can choose. Let's say Sarah's friend forgets her birthday. Her first feeling might be hurt. If she reacts immediately, she might say something angry and damage the friendship. But if she pauses and thinks, she might realize that her friend was busy or forgot by mistake. Then she can talk calmly. This small pause can save many problems in life. Now, let's look at a small journey to understand this better. John used to blame everything. If he was late, he blamed traffic. If he failed, he blamed the system. If someone upset him, he blamed them. His life fell out of control. One day, he noticed something. No matter what happened, he always felt stuck. Nothing improved. Then he learned about this idea of being proactive. At first, it felt strange. How could he be responsible for everything? But he decided to try. Next time he was late, instead of blaming traffic, he thought, I should leave earlier. Next time he got feedback, instead of getting angry, he thought, what can I improve? Slowly, small changes started happening. He felt more in control. His work improved. His relationships got better. Not because the world changed, but because he changed his response. That is the power of this habit. Now, let's make this even simpler. Reactive thinking sounds like this. I can't do anything. This always happens to me. They're the problem. Proactive thinking sounds like this. What can I do? How can I improve? What is in my control? Just changing these thoughts can change your actions. Another important point is about language. Listen carefully to how people speak. Reactive people often use words like, I can't, I have to, or if only. These words show that they feel controlled by outside things. Proactive people use words like, I choose, I will, and I can try. These words show that they take responsibility. For example, instead of saying, I have to study, a proactive person says, I choose to study because it helps me. The action is the same, but the mindset is different, and mindset changes everything. Now you might think, but what about really difficult situations? Yes, life can be hard. There are situations where you have very little control over what happens. But even in those situations, you still have control over your response. You can choose to stay calm or panic. You can choose to try or give up. You can choose to learn or ignore. Do starting today. Start noticing your reactions. When something happens, pause for a second. Ask yourself, what is in my control? Then act based on that. It will feel difficult at first. You may still react sometimes. That's normal. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to become more aware. Over time, this habit becomes natural. You will stop blaming. You will start acting. You will feel more in control of your life. And that is the real power of being proactive. In the end, the message is very simple. Life will always have problems. People will say things. Situations will change. But one thing will always be in your control, your response. And once you understand that, everything starts to change. Imagine you are building a house. You work hard every day, laying bricks, painting walls, buying furniture. But one day, someone asks you, what kind of house are you trying to build? And suddenly, you realize you never really decided. You were just working without a clear plan. This is exactly how many people live their lives. Let's start with a simple story. John is a student. He studies every day, completes his homework, and stays busy. But he feels confused. Sometimes he studies one subject, then switches to another. He tries different hobbies, but leaves them halfway. One day, his teacher asks him, John, what do you want to come? John has no answer. He feels stuck, even though he is working hard. The problem is not effort. The problem is direction. This is where the idea from the book comes in. The book is called Underscore the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People Underscore. And habit 2 is called Begin with the End in Mind. In simple words, it means you should first decide where you want to go and then start moving. If you don't know your destination, any road will confuse you. Think of it like using a map. If you want to go somewhere, you first choose the place. Then you check the path. Without choosing the place, the map is useless. Life works the same way. Before doing anything, you need to know what kind of life you want. The main idea of this habit is very simple. Always think about your end goal before you start. Ask yourself, what do I want in the future? This is not about dreaming big in a vague way. It is about being clear. Clear thinking helps you make better choices every day. Let's break this down into easy lessons. The first lesson is, always think about your future result. Imagine Sarah. She wants to be healthy, but every day she eats junk food and skips exercise. She says, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. One day, she decides to think clearly. She imagines her future. she sees two versions of herself. One is tired, unhealthy, and unhappy. The other is active, strong, and confident. Now she has a clear picture. This picture helps her make better choices. When she sees junk food, she remembers her goal. Slowly, she starts choosing healthier options. This shows something important. When you clearly see your future, your present actions change automatically. You don't need someone to force you. Your own mind guides you. The second lesson is, create a clear picture of your life. Not just one area, but your whole life. Think about your work, your relationships, your habits, and your daily routine. Ask simple questions like, what kind of person do I want to be? Or, how do I want people to remember me? Let's take Mike as an example. Mike works in an office. He is busy all the time, but his family feels ignored. One day, he stops and thinks. He asks himself, at the end of my life, what will matter more, work or family? The answer becomes clear. He doesn't quit his job, but he changes how he spends his time. He starts coming home earlier, talks to his kids, and spends time with them. His life becomes more balanced. This lesson teaches that success is not just about money or work. It is about living in a way that matches your values. When you know what matters most, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. The third lesson is, use your goals to guide your daily actions. Many people set goals, but they forget them. They write them once and never look again. This habit is different. It says your goals should guide your daily choices. Think about Emma. She wants to become a writer, but every day, she spends hours watching videos and scrolling on her phone. She says she has no time to write. One day, she decides to be serious. She reminds herself of her goal every morning. Now, when she picks up her phone, she asks, is this helping me become a writer? Most of the time, the answer is no. So she puts the phone away and starts writing. Slowly, her habit changes. This shows that goals are not just for thinking. They are for action. A clear goal acts like a filter. It helps you decide what to do and what to avoid. Now, let's look at a small journey to understand this better. Imagine a person named Alex. Alex feels lost. He tries many things but finishes nothing. He feels like he is moving but not going anywhere. One day, he learns this idea. Begin with the end in mind. At first, it sounds simple, but when he tries it, he realizes he never thought seriously about his future. So Alex sits down and thinks. He writes down what he wants in life. He wants a stable job, good health, and strong relationships. Now, he has a clear direction. Next, he looks at his daily routine. He sees that many of his actions do not match his goals. He wastes time, ignores his health, and avoids important work. Now comes a change. Alex starts making small adjustments. He plans his day based on his goals. He studies for his career, exercises for his health, and spends time with people who matter. At first, it feels difficult, but slowly it becomes normal. After some time, he feels more focused and confident. He is still on the journey, but now he knows where he is going. This is the power of this habit. It turns confusion into clarity. It turns random actions into meaningful actions. Another simple way to understand this is by thinking about a movie. Imagine watching a movie where there is no ending. The story keeps going, but it has no direction. It feels boring and confusing. Now imagine a movie with a clear ending. Every scene makes sense because it leads to something. Your life is like that movie. When you know your ending, your actions start making sense. This habit also helps you avoid regret. Many people work hard for years, but later they feel unhappy. Why? Because they were climbing the wrong ladder. They reached the top, but it was not the place they wanted. This happens when people don't think about their end goal. So how can you use this in your own life? Start by asking simple questions. What kind of person do you want to become? What kind of life do you want to live? What matters most to you? You don't need perfect answers. Just be honest. Then, remind yourself of these answers often. Keep them in your mind when you make decisions. When you choose how to spend your time, think about your future. Ask yourself, is this helping me move forward or pulling me back? Also, remember that your goals can change. That is normal. As you learn and grow, your thinking may change. The important thing is to stay aware. Don't live on autopilot. Think, decide, and act with purpose. At the end of the day, this habit is not about doing more. It is about doing the right things. It is about living with direction instead of confusion. When you begin with the end in mind, every step becomes meaningful. So the next time you start something, pause for a moment. Ask yourself one simple question. Where do I want this to lead? That small question can change everything. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning with big plans. You say, today I will study, exercise, and finish my work. But then the day starts. Your phone distracts you. You watch one video, then another. Someone calls you. You feel a little lazy. By the end of the day, nothing important is done. And you sit there thinking, why does this keep happening? This is where most people get stuck. Not because they are lazy, not because they are not smart, but because they don't know how to focus on what truly matters. Let's take a simple story. John is a student. He wants good grades, a healthy body, and free time to enjoy life. But his daily routine is messy. He studies random subjects, spends too much time on social media, and delays hard tasks. Every night, he feels stressed because he didn't do what he planned. One day, his teacher tells him something simple. John, you are busy, but you are not effective. That sentence hits him hard. This is exactly what Habit 3 from the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is about. It is called Put First Things First. In very simple words, it means doing the most important things before anything else. Not just what feels easy, not just what is urgent, but what truly matters in the long run. The book explains that we all have many tasks every day. Some tasks feel urgent, like answering messages or reacting to problems. Some tasks are important, like studying, exercising, or learning new skills. The problem is, most people spend their time on urgent things and ignore important things. And slowly, their life goes off track. Think about this. If you only fix problems all day, new problems will keep coming. But if you spend time on important things, problems reduce in the future. That is the difference. To understand this better, imagine your day like a box. You have big rocks, small rocks, sand, and water. The big rocks are the most important things, like your health, learning, and goals. The small rocks are less important tasks. Sand is small distractions. Water is everything else. If you fill your box with sand and water first, there will be no space for big rocks. But if you put the big rocks first, everything else can fit around them. John realizes this. He sees that he is filling his day with small things first, so he decides to change. The first lesson from this habit is very simple. Know what is truly important. Not everything that feels urgent is important. For example, a message notification feels urgent, but your study time is more important. Watching random videos feels easy, but building a skill is more important. You have to clearly decide what matters most in your life. John starts by writing down his top priorities. He chooses 3 things: study, health, and 1 personal skill. He keeps it simple. Now he knows what his big rocks are. The second lesson is about planning your time around these important things. Many people plan their day after everything else is done. That never works. Important things need to come first, not last. So John changes his routine. Instead of starting his day with his phone, he starts with studying. Even if it is just 1 hour, he gives it full focus. After that, he does a short workout. Only then does he check his phone or do other tasks. At first, it feels hard, but slowly it becomes natural. This is where something interesting happens. John notices that even though he is doing fewer things, he feels more satisfied. Why? Because he is doing the right things. The third lesson is about discipline and saying no. This is one of the hardest parts. Life will always try to pull you away from your important tasks. Friends may call. Notifications will pop up. You may feel lazy. If you say yes to everything, you will lose control of your time. So you need to learn to say no to things that are not important. Not in a rude way, but in a clear way. You are protecting your time. John faces this too. One day, his friend Mike asked him to play a game during his study time. Earlier, John would say yes instantly, but now he pauses. He thinks, is this my big rock? The answer is no. So he says, I will join later. It feels a little uncomfortable, but he sticks to his plan. This small decision changes everything. Because every time you say no to a distraction, you are saying yes to your goals. Now, let's look at a small journey. At the start, John's problem was simple. He was busy but not effective. He was reacting to everything instead of choosing what to do. Then he understood the idea of put first things first. He learned to identify important tasks, plan his day around them, and protect his time. Slowly, his results improved. His stress reduced. He felt more in control of his life. This habit is not about working all the time. It is about working on the right things. You can still relax, enjoy, and have fun. But even that becomes better when your important work is already done. Think about your own life. What are your big rocks? Maybe it is your studies. Maybe it is your health. Maybe it is learning a skill. Whatever it is, those things should come first in your day. You don't need a perfect plan. Start small. Choose 1 or 2 important things. Give them time before anything else. Even 30 minutes of focused effort can make a big difference. Also remember, being busy is not the same as being effective. Many people run all day and still feel empty at night. But a person who focuses on important things feels satisfied, even if they do less. Another simple idea from this habit is this. Don't wait for the perfect time. There will always be distractions. There will always be reasons to delay. The only way forward is to start with what you have, where you are. John didn't change overnight. Some days he still got distracted. Some days he failed. But he kept coming back to the same idea. Do the important things first. And over time, that became his habit. That is the real power of this concept. It is not about one perfect day. It is about building a pattern. When you repeat the right actions again and again, your life slowly changes direction. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, don't try to do everything. Just pause and ask one simple question. What is the most important thing I should do right now? Then do that first. In the end, habit 3 teaches a very clear lesson. Your life is shaped by how you use your time. If you give your time to distractions, you will get weak results. If you give your time to important things, you will build a strong life. Keep it simple. Find your big rocks. Put them first. Protect your time. And slowly, everything else will fall into place. Imagine this. You and your friend both want the same thing. There's only one slice of cake left. You can fight for it, grab it fast, or stay silent and feel bad. Most people think there are only 2 options. Either I win or you win. But what if there's a third option where both people feel happy? Let's start with a simple story. John and Mike were working together on a school project. John wanted to finish it quickly and submit it. Mike wanted to take more time and make it perfect. Both had good reasons, but they started arguing. John thought, if I don't win, we will be late. Mike thought, if I don't win, the project will be bad. They were stuck. Both wanted to win, but in different ways. Now think about this. If John forces his way, Mike feels upset. If Mike forces his way, John feels stressed. Even if one wins, the friendship becomes weaker. This is where habit 4 from the book Underscore, the 7 habits of highly effective people underscore comes in. The idea is very simple. Think win-win. Think win-win means you don't try to beat the other person. You don't try to lose either. Instead, you look for a solution where both people feel good. It is not about being nice or weak. It is about being smart and fair at the same time. Most people grow up thinking in only 2 ways. The first is, I win, you lose. This is like a competition. One person is happy, the other is not. The second is, I lose, you win. This happens when someone gives up just to avoid conflict. They stay quiet, but inside they feel unhappy. There's also a third way, which is, I lose, you lose. This happens when people fight so much that both end up losing something. But habit 4 teaches a better way. It says, I win and you also win. This sounds simple, but it needs a different way of thinking. It means you care about your own needs and also care about the other person's needs. You don't ignore yourself and you don't ignore others. Let's go back to John and Mike. Instead of arguing, they pause and think. John says, I want to finish on time because I don't want stress later. Mike says, I want to make it better because I care about quality. Now they understand each other. They are not enemies. They just have different priorities. So they find solution. They decide to finish most of the work quickly and leave some time to improve the important parts. Now both feel satisfied. That is a win-win solution. The first key lesson is this: understand before you decide. Most conflicts happen because people only think about their own side. They don't stop to ask, what does the other person want? When you understand both sides, it becomes easier to find a solution that works for everyone. Think about a small daily example. Sarah wants to watch a movie. Emma wants to play a game. If they both keep saying, my choice is better, they will argue. But if they stop and talk, they might say, let's watch a short movie and then play the game. Or they might choose something both enjoy. The moment they understand each other, the problem becomes smaller. The second lesson is this: think in abundance, not scarcity. This means don't think that there is only one way to win. Many people think like this: if the other person gets something, I lose something. This is called scarcity thinking. It creates fear and competition. But in real life, many situations have more than one solution. When you believe there's enough for everyone, your mind opens up. You start looking for better ideas instead of fighting for one option. For example, imagine two co-workers, Mike and Sarah, both want a day off. If the boss only allows one, they may argue. But if they think differently, they might find another way. Maybe one can take a half day, or they can switch days, or adjust their work. Instead of fighting, they look for more options. This is abundance thinking. The third lesson is this: balance courage and care. To think win-win, you need two things. You need courage to say what you want, and you need care to listen to what others want. If you only have courage, you become aggressive. If you only have care, you become weak. Win-win happens when both are balanced. Let's say John feels shy and always says yes to Mike. That is not win-win. That is, I lose, you win. Over time, John will feel frustrated. On the other hand, if John always forces his ideas, Mike will feel ignored. That is, I win, you lose. Both situations damage the relationship. But if John speaks clearly and also listens, then they can find a middle path. This is the balance. You respect yourself and respect others at the same time. Now, let's look at a small journey. At first, people think winning means beating others. John used to think like this. In games, in studies, and discussions, he always tried to be right. But slowly he noticed something. Even when he won, people stopped enjoying working with him. Friends became distant. Group work became harder. One day, during a team project, he faced a problem again. He wanted one idea. His teammate Sarah wanted another. Earlier, he would argue until he won. But this time, he tried something different. He asked Sarah, "Why do you think your idea is better?" Sarah explained her reasons calmly. Then John shared his thoughts. They both listened. Instead of choosing one idea, they combined both. The final result was better than what either had planned alone. The project became stronger and their teamwork improved. That day, John understood something important. Winning alone is not real success. Real success is when everyone feels good about the result. This idea is useful everywhere. In school, in work, in family, even in small daily talks. When you stop thinking of life as a competition, you start building better relationships. And strong relationships make life easier. But win-win does not mean you accept everything. If there's no fair solution, sometimes you can say, let's not do this. This is also part of the idea. It is better to walk away than to force a bad deal. This keeps respect on both sides. Also, win-win takes time. You cannot always find a perfect solution quickly, but even trying to understand the other person changes the situation. People feel heard, and that itself reduces conflict. So what can you do in real life? Next time you disagree with someone, pause for a moment. Instead of thinking, how can I win? Ask, how can we both win? Start by understanding their need. Then explain your need. After that, look for options together. It may feel slow at first, but it builds trust. And trust makes future problems easier to solve. At the end, the message is simple. Life is not a game where one person must lose for another to win. In many situations, There's a way where both people can feel satisfied. You just need to change how you think. Think win-win is not just a habit. It is a way of seeing people. It means you value yourself and also value others. When you practice this, your relationships become stronger, your decisions become better, and life feels less like a battle and more like teamwork. Have you ever felt like people are not really listening to you? You talk, you explain, but still they misunderstand you. Or maybe you also do this sometimes. Someone is speaking, but in your mind you're already thinking about what to say next. This small habit quietly creates many problems in life. Let's look at a simple story. John and Sarah work together on a project. One day, Sarah tells John that she is feeling stressed because a deadline is close. Before she can finish, John quickly says, "Don't worry, just work faster. It's easy." Sarah becomes quiet. She feels upset, but she doesn't say anything. Later, their teamwork becomes weak. They stop sharing ideas. The project suffers. What went wrong here? John did not really listen. He heard the words, but he did not try to understand Sarah's feeling. He jumped to a solution too quickly. This is exactly what Habit 5 from the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, teaches us to fix. The idea of Habit 5 is very simple but very powerful. It says, first try to understand others, then try to make others understand you. This sounds easy, but in real life, most people do the opposite. They want to speak first. They want to be understood first. They focus on their own point of view. Think about it logically. When two people talk, both want to feel heard. If both try to speak first, no one truly listens. But if one person listens carefully, the other person feels respected. That person becomes calm and open. Then real communication starts. Listening is not just staying quiet. Real listening means you try to see the situation from the other person's side. You try to understand their thoughts and feelings, not just their words. This is called deep listening. Let's break this idea into simple lessons. The first lesson is about listening without interrupting. Many times, when someone talks, we interrupt. We finish their sentences. We give advice before they ask for it. This shows that we are not fully listening. Instead, we should let them complete their thoughts. Even if we think we already understand, we should wait. This gives the other person space to express everything. For example, imagine Mike is telling his friend Emma about a problem at work. Before Mike finishes, Emma says, "I know this problem. Just do this." Mike might feel that Emma is not really listening. But if Emma waits and lets Mike explain fully, she may understand something deeper. Maybe the problem is not about work. Maybe it is about how Mike feels. Waiting changes everything. The second lesson is about trying to understand feelings, not just facts. Words only show part of the story. Behind words, there are emotions. If we ignore emotions, we miss the real meaning. Let's go back to John and Sarah. Sarah said she was stressed. The word stress carries a feeling. Maybe she was worried about failing. Maybe she needed support, not advice. If John had paid attention to her feeling, he could have said, "It sounds like you're really worried. Do you want help?" This simple response shows understanding. It builds trust. The third lesson is about not judging too quickly. When we listen, we often compare what we hear with our own experience. We think, "This is not a big deal," or "I have faced worse." This leads to quick judgment. But every person experiences things differently. What is small for you may be big for someone else. For example, Sarah may feel stressed about a deadline because she cares deeply about her work. For John, deadlines may not feel stressful, but that does not mean Sarah's feeling is wrong. Understanding means accepting that different people see things in different ways. Now let's look at how this habit creates a simple journey from problem to solution. At the start, the problem is poor communication. People talk, but they don't connect. They feel ignored. This leads to frustration, misunderstandings, and weak relationships. Then comes awareness. A person realizes that the issue is not what others are saying. The issue is how they are listening. They notice that they interrupt, judge, or rush to respond. After that comes change. The person decides to listen first. They slow down. They pay attention. They try to understand before speaking. Finally, the result is better communication. People feel heard. Trust grows. Conversations become clear and meaningful. Problems get solved faster because both sides understand each other. Let's take another simple example. Imagine a parent and a child. The child says, "I don't like school." The parent quickly replies, "You have to go." Everyone goes. The child feels ignored. The problem stays. Now imagine the parent uses habit 5. The parent says, "Why don't you like school?" The child explains, "My teacher is very strict and I feel nervous." Now the parent understands a real issue. The solution becomes easier. The parent can help the child deal with the teacher or find ways to reduce the fear. This habit is powerful because it solves problems at the root. Most problems in relationships are not about the situation. They are about misunderstanding. When people feel understood, they become more open and cooperative. There is also an important logical reason behind this habit. When you listen first, you collect more information. You understand the full picture. This helps you respond better. Your words become more accurate and useful. Without listening, your response is just a guess. Think about a doctor. Before giving treatment, the doctor listens to the patient. The doctor asks questions and understands the problem. Only then does the doctor give advice. If the doctor gives medicine without listening, it may not work. Communication works in the same way. Another important point is that listening builds trust. When someone feels that you truly understand them, they trust you more. And when trust is strong, communication becomes easy. People share more honestly. They become less defensive. Now you might think, what about my own thoughts? When do I speak? That is the second part of the habit. After understanding others, you then explain your own point clearly. But now, because you have listened first, the other person is more willing to listen to you. The conversation becomes balanced. Let's go back to John and Sarah one last time. If John had listened carefully, Sarah would feel understood. Then, when John shares his idea, Sarah would listen with an open mind. Their teamwork would improve. The same situation, but a different result, just because of better listening. In daily life, this habit can be used everywhere. In friendships, it helps avoid fights. In work, it improves teamwork. In family, it builds strong bonds. Even in small conversations, it makes a big difference. But like any habit, it needs practice. At first, it may feel slow. You may want to jump in and speak. But with time, you get better. You learn to stay patient. You learn to notice feelings. You learn to ask simple questions like, "Can you explain more?" Or, "How do you feel about this?" These small actions show that you care about understanding. The key idea is very clear. Most people listen to reply. Effective people listen to understand. This one change can improve almost every relationship in your life. So next time someone talks to you, try something simple. Don't interrupt. Don't judge. Don't rush. Just listen carefully. Try to see things from their side. Then speak. You will notice something interesting. People will start opening up more. Conversations will feel smoother. Problems will feel smaller. And slowly, your communication will become stronger without any extra effort. In the end, habit 5 is not about being silent. It is about being thoughtful. It is about giving full attention before giving your opinion. And when you do this, you create real understanding, which is a foundation of every strong connection in life. Have you ever noticed that sometimes, even when people are smart and hardworking, they still fail when working with others? It feels strange, right? You would think more smart people means better results. But many times, it actually leads to fights, confusion, and poor outcomes. So what's missing? The answer is something very simple, but very powerful. Let's start with a small story. John and Mike were both really good at their jobs. John was great at planning, and Mike was great at solving problems. One day, they were asked to work together on a project. At first, it seemed perfect, two smart people working together. But soon, things started going wrong. John wanted everything done his way. Mike also believed his ideas were better. They kept arguing. They stopped listening to each other. In the end, their project failed. Later, another team with less experienced people worked on the same project and succeeded. Why? Because they worked together better. This idea is explained in a very simple but deep way in the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit 6 of this book is called Synergize. That word might sound a little big, but the idea behind it is actually very easy to understand. Synergy means that when people work together properly, they can create something better than what they could do alone. It's not just adding skills, it's multiplying them. Think about it like this. One person has idea A, another person has idea B. If they don't work together, they just have two ideas. But if they listen to each other and combine their thinking, they can create a new idea C, which is better than both A and B. That is synergy. It's when teamwork creates something new and better. Now, let's understand this more clearly with simple thinking. Most people believe that their idea is the best. This is normal. Everyone sees things from their own point of view, but the problem starts when we stop listening to others. When we think, I am right and you are wrong, we close our minds. And when the mind is closed, learning stops. Growth stops. Synergy starts when we accept one simple truth. I don't know everything. When you accept this, you become open to new ideas. You start listening. And when you listen, you start understanding. This is where real teamwork begins. Let's go back to John and Mike. After their failure, their manager asked them to try again, but this time they were told one rule. Before speaking your idea, you must first understand the other person's idea. At first, it felt strange, but they tried. John listened to Mike carefully. Mike also listened to John. Slowly, they started seeing things they missed earlier. They stopped fighting. Instead of trying to win, they started trying to solve the problem together. This time, their project succeeded. So what changed? Their skills didn't change. Their thinking did. One important lesson from this habit is that differences are not a problem. Differences are actually useful. Most people think if someone thinks differently, it will create conflict. But the truth is, different thinking gives you more options. If everyone thinks the same way, you only have one idea. But if people think differently, you have many ideas to choose from. Let's take a simple example. Sarah and Emma are working on a school project. Sarah likes to plan everything carefully. Emma likes to be creative and try new things. At first, they clash. Sarah thinks Emma is messy. Emma thinks Sarah is boring. But if they understand each other, something interesting happens. Sarah's planning keeps things organized. Emma's creativity makes the project exciting. Together, they create something better than either of them could do alone. This is synergy again. Another important lesson is about listening. Most people don't really listen. They just wait for their turn to speak. But real listening means trying to understand the other person fully. Not judging, not interrupting, just understanding. When you do this, the other person also feels respected. And when people feel respected, they open up more. This makes teamwork easier and stronger. Let's look at a simple daily situation. Imagine a group of friends deciding where to go for dinner. One person wants pizza, another wants burgers, and someone else wants something healthy. If everyone keeps arguing, no one enjoys the process. But if they listen to each other, they might find a place that has all options. Now everyone is happy. The result is better because they work together. Now think about a bigger problem. A team in a company is trying to fix an issue. One person understands the technical side. Another understands a customer's needs. Another understands business costs. If they don't work together, they will each push their own solution. But if they combine their knowledge, they can find a solution that works on all sides. This is powerful. Synergy also requires trust. If you don't trust the people you are working with, you'll always try to protect your own ideas. You won't share openly. You won't take risks. But when there is trust, people feel safe to share their thoughts, even if they are not perfect. And sometimes, these imperfect ideas lead to great solutions. Let's see a small journey of understanding. At first, John believed that being right was the most important thing. He thought winning arguments meant success. But after his failure, he realized something. Being right alone is not enough. If the team fails, everyone loses. Then he learned to listen. He learned to accept other ideas. Slowly, he saw that teamwork is not about winning against others. It is about winning together. This shift changed everything for him. Now here's something simple but powerful to remember. When you work alone, you are limited by your own thinking. But when you work with others in the right way, you gain access to many minds. And many minds, when connected properly, are much stronger than one. But remember, synergy doesn't happen automatically. It needs effort. It needs patience. It needs a willingness to understand others. It also needs the courage to accept that someone else's idea might be better than yours. This is not weakness. This is smart thinking. You might wonder, what if the other person is wrong? That's okay. Listening does not mean agreeing with everything. It means understanding first, then thinking together. Even wrong ideas can lead to better ideas when discussed openly. So, the real power of Habit 6 is simple. Don't try to do everything alone. Don't try to prove you are always right. Instead, try to build something better with others. Next time you're working with someone, try this small change. Instead of saying, "This is my idea," say, "Let's find a better idea together." This one small change can completely change the result. In the end, the message is very clear. Alone, you can do good work, but together, you can do great work. And that difference is what makes people truly effective. Most people think success comes from working harder and harder every day. But what if the real secret is not just working hard, but also taking care of yourself so you can keep going strong for a long time? Let's start with a simple story. John was a very hard-working person. Every day, he woke up early, worked all day, skipped breaks, and even worked at night. At first, everything seemed great. He was getting results. But after some time, things started to change. He felt tired all the time. He made more mistakes. He got angry easily. Even simple tasks felt heavy. One day, he realized something strange. The more he worked without rest, the worse his work became. That's when he understood something important. Working nonstop was actually slowing him down. This idea connects to the last habit from the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is called Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw. The idea is very simple. If you keep using a tool again and again without taking care of it, it becomes dull. And when it becomes dull, it takes more effort to do the same work. But if you stop for a while and sharpen the tool, your work becomes faster and easier. Now think about yourself as that tool. Your body, your mind, your emotions, and your ability to think clearly are all like tools. If you don't take care of them, they slowly become weak. And when they become weak, everything in life becomes harder. The main idea of this habit is to take regular time to improve and refresh yourself. Not once in a while, but again and again. It is about staying strong, not just for today, but for a long time. Let's break this into simple parts. The first lesson is about taking care of your body. This means simple things like sleeping well, eating proper food, and doing some physical activity. Many people ignore this. They think they can skip sleep or eat anything and still perform well. But the truth is very clear. When your body is tired, your brain also slows down. You cannot focus. You cannot think clearly. Even small problems feel big. Imagine Sarah. She had an important test coming up. Instead of sleeping, she stayed awake all night to study. The next day, she felt sleepy during the test. She forgot answers she already knew. If she had slept well, she would have done better. So sometimes, resting is not wasting time. It is preparing yourself to perform better. The second lesson is about your mind. Your mind needs fresh ideas and learning. If you keep doing the same thing every day without learning anything new, your thinking becomes limited. It is like using an old map in a new place. It won't help much. Mike worked at a job where he did the same tasks every day. After some time, he stopped learning. When a new problem came, he didn't know how to handle it. But later, he started reading simple books, watching useful videos, and learning small skills. Slowly, his thinking improved. He could solve problems faster. So, sharpening your mind means giving it new information and new ways to think. The third lesson is about emotions and relationships. Humans are not machines. Feelings matter. If you ignore your emotions or treat people badly, it affects your life in many ways. Emma was very focused on her work. She didn't talk much to her family or friends. She thought relationships were not important. But over time, she started feeling lonely. She had no one to share her problems with. This made her stress even worse. Later, she started spending small time with people she cared about. She listened more, talked more, and built stronger connections. This gave her support and peace of mind. So, taking care of your emotions and relationships is also part of sharpening yourself. Now, let's see how all these ideas connect together. Imagine a person who only works and ignores everything else. No rest, no learning, no relationships. At first, this person may look very productive, but slowly, problems start showing. The body becomes tired. The mind becomes slow. Emotions become heavy. And finally, the person feels stuck. Now imagine another person. This person works, but also takes time to rest, learn, and connect with others. This person may spend less time working, but the quality of work is much higher. This person feels more energy, thinks clearly, and handles problems better. In the long run, this person moves ahead faster. This is the real difference. Many people think taking breaks or spending time on yourself is a waste. But this habit shows the opposite. It says that taking care of yourself is not extra. It is necessary. It is part of being effective. Let's go back to John. After he understood his mistake, he made small changes. He started sleeping on time. He took short breaks during work. He went for a walk every day. He also started learning new things and spending time with his family. At first, it felt strange. He thought he was wasting time. But after a few weeks, something changed. He felt more energy. He made fewer mistakes. He worked faster and better. And most importantly, he felt happier. This shows a simple truth. You cannot keep giving output without taking input. You cannot keep running without resting. If you do, you will slow down. This habit is not about doing big things. It is about small, regular actions, like drinking water when you are thirsty, like resting when you are tired, like learning when you feel stuck. These small actions keep you strong. Another important point is balance. Some people only focus on one area. For example, they take care of their body but ignore learning, or they learn a lot but ignore relationships. But this habit teaches that all areas matter. Your body, your mind, and your emotions all work together. If one part is weak, it affects the others. So the goal is simple. Keep improving yourself in small ways every day. Not for showing others, but for your own growth. At the end, the message is very clear. If you want long-term success, don't just focus on doing more. Focus on becoming better. Take care of your body so you have energy. Keep learning so your mind stays sharp. Build good relationships so you feel supported. These are not extra tasks. They are the foundation of everything you do. So next time you feel tired or stuck, don't just push harder. Pause for a moment. Ask yourself, do I need rest, learning, or connection? That small pause might be the smartest move you make. Hope this video added value to your life. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more.